Welcome to La Vida Poetry. Get ready to experience talented poets on our monthly readings from all over the world. Enjoy! Hi, everyone, and welcome to La Vida Poetry. We are a monthly series of poetry brought to you by Wafi Media. So, we are a monthly series dedicated to the showcase of poetry and spoken word. If you haven't already done so, please make sure to listen and subscribe to the Latin Babbler Show on all podcast platforms and on YouTube. I am your host, Cecilia, and tonight I have my host, Ms. Rocky. Say what's up, Ms. Rocky.
What's up, everyone?
And
Good to be
tonight
back.
we have a poet with us, Jose. Hey, Jose, say hi. So, Jose is a poetic artist. His mission is changing the way that people think about poetry. Jose Cordon is also known as Cordon Concepts, a published poet and sought after spoken word artist, performing for the Latino Community Foundation, Airbnb, Google, nice, and many others. He combines his command of words and thoughtful nature to deliver original, passionate, and moving poetry. He's a Bay Area artist. Hey. And you're a
Hey, there
Salvadorian
you
and
go.
Guatemalan, right?
Oh, watch out.
That's what's up. I'm Salvadorian.
Let's go.
And Ms. Rocky's Colombian. Recently, you
Yes.
hosted and brought to the city of Antioch your first poetic experience, right? And it was dope. I went. It was dope. And you just dropped "Every Pretty Face" is a video found on your YouTube channel, correct? So welcome and thank you for being with us
Awesome.
tonight. Tell us a little bit about yourself before we get started.
Yeah, so like you mentioned, my name's Jose Cordon. I'm from the Bay. Um, I've been writing poetry for a little while now. It's been quite a minute. Although it wasn't my intention to write poetry, you feel me? I started writing more like raps and stuff like that. But I would always have raps that I didn't write to beats just so I could kind of spit them off the dome and I wasn't inhibited by the need to remember a beat or to go on that beat. Um, so I started doing it a little bit more and more, and then over time, people just started to label kind of the work that I did poetry. So I kind of ran into a little bit unexpectedly. You feel me? But I've been doing it for a little while now. I really enjoy it. And yeah, thank you for having me on your show to talk
Of
about some
course.
poetry.
Yeah, I can't wait. You're really amazing and the show is amazing. It wasn't just poetry, right? It was totally an experience.
All for the show.
Well, the whole it was called the poetic experience, but it wasn't just poetry. You had like open mic,
Oh
you
no,
had
I thought you were
dancers.
just telling me that. My bad. I thought you were just telling me to tell you a little bit about myself.
Yeah, yeah.
But no, the show, the poetic experience. No, it wasn't just poetry. It was mostly poetry. Well, really, all of it was poetry because my whole idea with getting the dance involved was to treat dance as poetry in motion. And then there was like a panel portion of the event which kind of delved into some of the meat of poetry. But essentially, it was mostly poetry with a little bit of dialogue in between.
Okay. And how
Nice.
many poems are you sharing this evening?
Today, I'll be sharing 3 poems.
Okay. So the floor is yours. You're our main guest.
Awesome.
Cool. So, this first poem, um, I wrote, and I actually shared it as well. Matter of fact, two of these are going to be poems that I shared at that poetic experience. One's going to be a different one. Um, but this poem in particular is called "Art Is," and so I like to think very critically about not just my particular art, but about art in general, and really all its facets, like why it was created. Um, what purpose does it serve? How does it help, individuals? How does it help people connect? So I was just trying to figure out what art was. And when I have questions about certain things, um, well, one, I'll just go in and research stuff. But when I want to kind of consolidate all the information for myself and kind of create my own opinion about something, I usually will fall back to poetry to make that happen. So this poem was kind of like it started with the question, what is art? And then from there, I started answering the question for myself and what art meant, what I believe art means. And so this poem is called Art Is, and it goes like this.
Okay.
What is art? Art is beauty you can feel. It's the strangest pain you can experience without knowing anything about him or her. It's was exposed to his or hers artistic deliverance. Art is prophecy. It's balance to chaos, as chaotic as it may be. And since every great artist is a tad mad, I guess art is also a bit maddening. Art is a clash between honesty and privacy, a desire to share and show more than the eyes can see. In the dark, artists find themselves through art, just to give themselves away gradually, through an opened wound, and all we can do is watch it bleed. Art is math of the heart. It's a medium with the flow mode that has a mean streak for exposing mankind's shortcomings and moral defeats. Art is reason, plus emotion equals meaning, minus ego equals purpose. A deep dive past the surface, an escape from reality, but only if you like the circus. Because art is crazy and wild, but surprisingly wise. It's a magnifying glass to all the karma and trauma that's brewing inside. Art is creative catharsis, an emotional ride without getting car sick. Art is powerful. It is power. It's the consolidation of seconds, minutes, and hours that last decades and centuries. Art is more than a journey. It's venturing and facing hostile thoughts that may lurk within, while fighting back with every stroke of a brush or pen, or body movements, or piano keys, or guitar strings, or play scripts, or 100 things. Art is a path that may never end. It's being lonely with 1,000 friends, and it's being friendly to a stranger. Art is throwing caution out of the window and diving headfirst into danger. Art is healing and revealing and exciting and dramatic. Art is dealing with the reeling that's invited by the artist. Art is all of this and then some. So that's that first poem right there. Art is.
That was
Yeah, you
dope.
That
want me just
was
to move on to
dope.
the second one?
That
Thank
was
you. Or how you want to
dope.
do that?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm still
We'll
going through
we'll
it.
just talk a little bit about it, and then we'll move on to the second one. But yeah, that was pretty dope,
Okay.
and I got myself being
Yeah,
a little bit emotional, right?
yeah, yeah,
But yeah, the delivery, everything was amazing. That's what's up.
yeah, definitely.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Go ahead, you can start with the second one if
Uh,
you like.
Okay, cool. So this one here is it's an older one. Um, so the first one and then the third one that I'm gonna do, those aren't like officially yet. You can't really hear those nowhere, right? I mean, you heard them if you went
Mhm.
to the poetic experience. Somebody might have they might heard them if they went to my open mic that I had in January. But you can't really find them anywhere. I mean, I guess I'll find them on your thing at the moment. Um, this second one though is an older one, and this is called Immigrant Home. So this poem is actually one that really got my name out there, really more than most. Um, and again, like I mentioned at the beginning, I use poetry to kind of well, the same way all poets use poetry, to kind of analyze my reality and come up with different ideas and things like that. And so this poem was written in 2020, and I just wrote it as a way to get a little bit of my story out there, but not like my particular story, like not like well, yeah, my story, but more so about my upbringing and paying homage um, to the roots of immigrants, right? And kind of touching on that a little bit because I felt like I just wasn't seeing that too often. At least not in that time. I just maybe I wasn't exposed to it as much. I don't know. I just didn't see it as much in 2020. So I wrote this poem called "Immigrant Home" to kind of talk about that, right? Just to kind of dive into that a little bit and kind of put that out there into the world. And I was surprised by how many people actually related to it.
Mm.
Um, so it's called "Immigrant Home," and it goes like this. I was raised by Latino parents in an immigrant home, and I became a translator like at 9 years old. My parents telling me, hijo, ven acá, léeme aquí, por favor. So now I'm reading documents, translating words I don't know, stuttering and reading extra slow. I was raised with them calling cards my folks used to use to call back home to Guatemala and El Salvador. I was raised talking to a bunch of relatives I had never met over the phone. I was raised being told que no se maleducado and introduce myself when I walk through the door. And that's the reason that I always say, hello, my name's Jose Cordon. I was raised con pan dulce y cafecito, pupusas, arroz con frijolitos, ay que rico. In my home, when you fell as a niño, they say, ay mijo, pobrecito, ven pa' acá. Sana, sana, colita de rana, and boom, bingo. The wound was all healed. Sounds kind of silly now, but back then it seemed so real. I was raised with stories of La Llorona, El Cucuy, and La Migra. The first two scared children. The last scares the entire familia. I was raised hearing about and seeing my people being torn apart by immigration. Children crying because their parents facing deportation. It's evil and they know it, but they still persist. On separating families, yeah, they make me sick. And I mean it, no apologies. ICE is acting like it's ISIS, terrorizing families. So when we see them driving through communities, we see them as a threat. That's why we yell fuck ICE every chance we get. You see, I was raised with a double identity. And I developed a love and hate for this relation and nation simultaneously. Its well advertised legacy as the home of the free allows for people to dream. It gives people the bravery to leave their families to go seek better tomorrows in a land of opportunities of which America always speaks. But when the objective is reached, after long nights in the cold and scorching days in the heat, with the desire to support family down south, even with no money to eat, with the will to work for the bare minimum, 7 days of the week, it isn't the Statue of Liberty who they have the pleasure to meet. It's either the hungry, huddled masses segregated into the kids, the he's, the she's, surrounded by chain link fences on top of floors of concrete, reminiscent of Dao Chow in 1933, the Nazis' first concentration camp if you want a fan of history. Or they're met by an unsure, unwelcome existence in American society with the realization that the American dream is sold separately with high interest and an expensive fee, and that America isn't as accepting as some movies make it seem. I was raised aware of race relations, but never understood where my brown skin fit into those situations. And since I was raised to be humble, I never questioned my place in the conversation. Or perhaps I just didn't know how. You see, I was raised with English as my second language. And that's because I was raised by Latino parents in an immigrant home. Con frutas cortadas con tajín y limón. I was raised drinking chocolate de abuelita hecho con mucho amor. I was raised by parents willing to sacrifice, willing to risk it all for a chance at a better life, even life itself. I was raised to go get it, con ganas, and never lose hope. That's why I'm proud to say I was raised by Latino parents in an immigrant home. And so that's the second poem right there. It's called Immigrant Home.
Yes. When is the North American tour, baby? Let's go. That is awesome.
Thank you. Yes, so that's a little bit older one, but yeah, that's definitely the one that got my name out there a little bit more. Like I said, a lot of people connected to it, which was I was really surprised by it, even though maybe I shouldn't have been. But yeah, I'm glad
I
you enjoyed.
connected.
I
Like,
think it resonated a lot because it
absolutely.
made us feel seen. Like
Yeah.
we all
Yeah.
knew we lived it, but we didn't know we all lived it exactly the same way. So
Right.
it
Yes, and so that was kind of like the real reason behind it. I guess I didn't feel seen either.
mhm.
You know, I just didn't see that. I didn't see this. Um, and I guess other people felt the same.
Yeah. And that's the beauty
I have a
about poetry, no? It kind of like it unifies us in our different experiences no matter where you're at in the world. We had a similar experience and it's
right.
healing.
Definitely. It is.
That was
It
dope.
is
Thank
healing.
you.
Yeah, it was. When did you start writing poetry?
Uh, so like I mentioned, so I started writing years ago when I was
Mm-hmm.
in eighth grade. So that's like 14. I'm 28 right now. So like 14 years ago.
Okay.
Um, yeah, but it wasn't poetry that I was writing. Matter of fact, I never really considered myself to really write poetry like that. But technically, I started writing poetry since eighth grade. Um, yeah, so I guess you could say since that time, since I was
Okay.
14.
Okay.
Nice.
Cool. Interesting. Got you in
Yeah.
there young. It's a good
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. Like, I think a lot of youngsters write. Uh, well, most youngsters, just like me, we write. They write to beats and stuff.
Right.
Um, it's just I don't think a lot of them venture out without the beats sometimes. Um, yeah, but there's a lot of young talent out there. I think a lot of youngsters actually fall back on arts. Um, yeah.
Well, being
Absolutely.
from the
I
Bay
agree with you.
Area, I know that we have a whole lot of artists of different genres, rappers, singers, painters, whatever, but your words are very deep. Very
Yeah. They cut.
yeah.
They cut
So I
deep.
know, and I
Yeah.
hate telling someone, "Oh, you're so young," because I hate telling anybody that, but for the age that you have, for the maturity and the wisdom behind your words, that's pretty dope. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it ain't, I don't know if it's really wisdom like that. You feel me? Because I gotta fuck up to learn it first. You feel me? So I don't know how much.
Yeah. You learn from your
I'm
lessons,
like
right?
you
But
call
you
it like a
grew
And the
wise
from it.
mistakes.
old people.
You learned from it.
Yeah.
So that's where the wisdom, we all messed up.
Absolutely. And it's also in your delivery. You
Yeah.
you know, your words cut deep, but that delivery, it's all
Mm,
about the delivery as well. So you feel it. You
Thank you.
got a
Which
gift. Absolutely.
thank you.
yeah,
If
pretty
you want,
dope.
you
You want
can
me to
go
go?
ahead with your third.
So
We
this
want to hear
other
it.
one. So this one's called a poet's guide, and this is kind of like my attempt to uh. If somebody had the question, how do I become a poet? This is kind of like my short answer to that question. Um, of course, it's just mine, so it might be completely wrong, right? It might not be the proper way at all, but it's just kind of like when somebody's thinking about that, like this is how I think you can become a poet. So it's called a poet's guide, and it goes like this: If you want to be a poet, maybe I can show you how. Sit and think about your thoughts, add a little feeling, and then write them bitches down. And be honest as you do, for honesty is part of the poet's pursuit. You can sit alone or in a crowd. Personally, I prefer the solitude. That's when I write my best, and perhaps for you it is so true. But sit you must, and more than once. A poet ponders often while avoiding a reflective rut. But that's only if the poet can. And once a poet's thoughts get out of hand, and like a billion little grains of sand, they can bury creativity. So you must learn to value, but not cling on to negativity. And that's a task easier said than done, especially for the poet, who can sit for hours in a dark room if the words start flowing. Even if the flow starts going down a path of forgotten memories when illusions got broken and confusion started holding a young mind hostage. You have to take stock, Holmes. Take every sin, drum them away. Write to the beat of your heart until you can laugh at your pain. And you can cry if you must, but it won't wash away. 'Cause living is bloody, and this shit leaves a stain. If you want to be a poet, make the ugly sound pretty. Make the crazy sound sane, and believe the odds are always 51-50 in your favor, with a point for extra luck. If you want to be a poet, fall in love and don't give a fuck. And so that's a poet's guide right there. Yeah.
He makes it sound so
Oh wow.
easy, right?
Seriously. It
Like, oh,
just
that's
flows
all
off
we
the
gotta
tongue
do.
like butter. Yeah, it's like that's
That's dope.
it.
Thank
Like
you,
that's
Jose.
Yeah, thank you.
seriously.
Appreciate it.
Is there a favorite I'm sure all your poetry is, your favorite, but is there like one piece that really like that's like the one that you've written?
Uh, no, I don't know if there's like the one, but there is a few of them that I really enjoy. Immigrant Home is one of them.
Okay.
A Poet's Guide is another one. There's a poem that I wrote called Her Nature that I'm really proud of. Um, there's probably like I have like top five. Maybe I have to think about it a little bit harder, but yeah, I got like a
Okay.
top five.
Raquel, if you go to
Super
his
dope.
YouTube channel, like you're gonna
Yeah,
have
I'm
a
gonna
hard
have to go.
time figuring out which one is your favorite,
Which
because
one's your
I
favorite?
did,
Yeah,
and
I'm
I was
sure.
like, oh, I like this one. No, I like this one better. No, I like this one better. So like, yeah,
Thank
they're
you.
they're all really good. It's gonna be hard. You've easily made your way up to one of my favorite like local poets, like for real.
Oh, thank you. Hey, well, hopefully we gotta change it to fucking national poets,
Right.
huh? She said
We're
local.
working
Ah,
on it, man. We're working on it.
damn.
That's the purpose.
Definitely.
Like we want to bring poetry to the people, everyone, everywhere.
Absolutely. Like, yeah. Especially I'm here in Miami, so you don't really hear much poetry or poetry, I guess, sessions around. But yeah, it needs to, you know, come more out there and for the arts and and for the culture.
Yeah.
Los Latinos, we gotta, stand up and speak up, and more beautiful form than poetry, I don't know. But you're
Right.
doing an amazing job, Jose. And we thank you so much for joining us, and any up and coming works we should look for or where we can find you.
Yeah, Instagram and the Cordon Concepts, and also you could also do the same on YouTube. Um, for to find some more poetry and stuff. I don't have like a lot of events coming up. I will be in the city tomorrow in Balmy Island, Balmy Alley. They have a Calle Limpia Corazón Contento event, so I'll be there tomorrow around 1:30. The week after that, I think it's the week after that, I'll be in Santa Rosa at Santa Rosa Junior College. I think it is, doing a little poetry out there. If folks want to go. Um, and then I'm doing something else, but it's more of a private thing for Contra Costa College. I think it is the following week on the 19th. In terms of poetry, I do have some stuff coming up, but I don't have a date for it. I do have some more events coming up. I am planning 2 open mics and then a cannabis and poetry event, but I also don't have dates for that just at the moment. But yeah, that'll be all coming soon.
Absolutely. Well,
You're a
you can
busy
always send us
man.
that. Exactly. And you can always send us, your information. We can put
Oh
it out there
yeah,
too, and we can share
definitely.
it.
Well, I'm
Cool, I
always sharing
appreciate
his
that.
stuff anyway. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
if
definitely.
anything flies past me, let me know. Be like, hey, you need to put this out there.
I appreciate that. Muchas gracias.
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely. Well, muchas gracias for coming again. And thank you, everyone, for tuning into our monthly series, La Vida Poetry. Follow us on Instagram at la_vida_poetry and turn on your notifications. Also, you could go to our website at thelatinbabbler.com and subscribe to our YouTube channel to catch a video of this session. So, thank you once again, Jose, for sharing with us tonight. And to everyone, see y'all next time.
See you next time. Bye.